All right, integrated 2 folks. We're going to be doing circles. This is going to be a 2-part lecture and stuff. And today we're going to learn some things. And this time I'm going to draw it with you. I thought maybe you could draw it with me, just kind of help you get the experience of what these things are. When you hear me say construct, you're supposed to just use a compass, you know, like we would have done this in class where you take like the pencil and the poker and you draw a circle, or you can only use a ruler without numbers, like a straight edge, and you just draw stuff. Don't measure things when it says construct. It's just, you know, like take a Coke can and draw a circle around it, you know, boom, anyways. Okay, so for starters, we get some vocabulary down. Start with a point, call it P, and that point P, when it is equidistant from every point in a 360-degree radius or circle, that is called a center. So I'll say that again, the center is the same distance from every point on the circle. The circle is just a collection of points, okay? Like an infinite number of points around that center point, but there is only one center point. In this case, we called it P, okay? And then if I measure from that center out to the edge, and remember, you can pause this video to catch up and stuff, but if I measure the distance from the center to the edge, that distance is called the radius, okay? And we talk about that radius in this case being a line segment because it actually starts and stops, starts at the center, ends at the circle. So like, let's say we said the point on the circle that the radius runs into is point Q. We would call this the radius PQ, and then we put a little line over it like that. And that line over represents a segment. Okay. And then if I were to draw a line segment all the way through the circle, going through the center from side to side like this, that is called a diameter. Okay, the diameter goes all the way across the circle. So let's say this is R and S, right? So the diameter would be RS all the way across like that, okay? So you only need the endpoints of the line segment to label it, like diameter RS. Okay, and then if we draw a line segment connecting 2 points on the circle, but not through the center, that is called a chord. So I'm going to start here, cut across, stop there, and I'm starting and stopping at points. Let's say this is U and V, right? So this is called chord UV, and you put a little line over it. Line segment PQ is a radius. Line segment RS is the diameter, okay? Now, there is a little bit of a relationship, in case you didn't notice, between the radius and the diameter, okay? It takes 2 radiuses to equal 1 diameter, okay? Or you go the other way and you could say that the diameter is, or half the diameter is 1 radius, like that, okay? So you can use either of those. Any questions? Well, text me if you have any. Okay, now let's draw another circle. Okay, start black this time. Draw another circle. And supposedly, if you can draw a perfect circle, you're a genius. I'm just bald. Anyways, so we put a center in there. We'll call that center D. I don't know, center D. Okay. Now we're going to start talking about angles in the circle. And does everybody know what the full measure around a circle is? It's 360 degrees. If I was to start at one point and measure this way all the way through like a clock, like the arm of a clock, and got back, that would be 360 degrees around. So do you know what half of that is? it's 180 degrees. It's hard to not ask questions while I'm lecturing. And then if you go halfway, 3 o'clock on the clock and 9 o'clock, that's 90 degrees, just in case you didn't know. So if we go all the way around, 270 degrees, and we're hanging out in a circle. Okay, so if I were to draw an angle with the center of the angle, or excuse me, with the vertex of the angle on the center, like let's say I started here and I went like this, okay? So do you see how the vertex of the angle is on the center? Okay, we call that a central angle because the vertex is on the center. And central angles need 3 letters. So let's say this is D and this is point, I guess I could use green. This is point A and this is point C, something like that, okay? We would say, and then you'd measure this part right here from A to C. Do I get to this today? I don't get to it today. Oh, yeah, I do. From A to C is what we call an arc AC. And so I do, like, instead of a straight line, like a line segment, I do a curved hat, which means on the circle from point A to point C, okay? And let's say this, if this is 90 degrees, that looks like it's about 65 degrees, okay? And if the central angle, if the measure of this angle is 65 degrees, then so is the measure of the arc that's attached to it, okay? And if this is a small arc, meaning it's less than 180 degrees, we call that a minor arc, like this. So a minor arc has a small degree angle with the vertex at the center, okay? And then if I were to draw a diameter all the way across, right? So if I went from 90 here all the way over to 270, just straight across, any diameter, those have a measure of 180 degrees, okay? 180 degrees. And then let's say I did an angle. So let's call this, here's G and here's H, like this. And then what if I started at the center, made one side of an angle at G, and then took the other one all the way over here, and we'll call this L, okay? So this from G all the way over to here would be angle, and don't forget you put a little angle in front of those. So I talked about the arc, but I also have to talk about, this is angle ADC. Well, angle, oh, it's right there. Angle GDL, right, is huge. This is, here's 180. That could be 200 degrees right there. You know, that's a lot of the circle, okay? This is called a major arc. Major arc. Okay, so a major arc is larger than 180 degrees. Minor arc is less than 180 degrees. And then if you do cut a circle in half, this half we call a semicircle. Semicircle. So that's just half of the circle. And it's considered a arc. And so I could say, because I was talking about this half, right? I mean, granted, it's 2 semicircles, but we'll just talk about this one. So we got G, L, H, right? Because it's got to be 180 degrees. 180 degrees for a semicircle. You'd put an arc sign over it like that. So this is the semicircle GLH. GLH. And I think that's enough for today. We'll pick up a couple more vocab terms Wednesday or Thursday, Friday. And hope you're doing okay with your assignments and your exit quizzes. Get them loaded up. And I hope you're all doing good. Peace.